tonight, but this is their daddy's prayer book. Oh, Glenn Sturgill, they told me a miracle. Well, first let me tell you about Glenn Sturgill. When he was 10 years old, a disease came into his body, and he was paralyzed from the neck down. They had to pick him up and carry him in a sheet. When they went out to the garden, they carried little Glenn in the sheet because of his paralysis. Oh, he came from a bootlegging home, came from a daddy who was an atheist. There never was a prayer said in that cabin. There never was a Christian song sung in that cabin. It was filled with alcohol. It was filled with all kinds of malice. It was filled with anger. It was filled with a bootlegger's lifestyle. Oh, but Jesus came into that log cabin. And when Jesus came into that log cabin, Glenn Sturgill jumped out of that sheet and began to run through the house. His bootlegging daddy came in, and his bootlegging daddy said, Glenn, what's happened to you? He said, God has touched me. Oh, God. He said, God has touched me. His bootlegging daddy said, Glenn, if God can touch you, lay your hands on my stomach, because I'm eaten up with ulcers and cirrhosis of the liver, and I need a healing. He was living on raw eggs and buttermilk. His son laid his hand on him, and he was healed. They took that log cabin, brother, and they made the bottom level a church, and they moved upstairs, and they held revival on the hill up in Northern Virginia, and the entire community was saved. I'm telling you, you got faith. Do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want your children to walk by and say, what does this mean? This means Peggy Richards sat in this chair. This means that this pastor preached out of this Bible. Oh, but one of the most miraculous, I know a lot of Glenn Sturgill stories, and I could preach a lot on that tonight. Especially when I went down there and he knocked on that door, and I was preaching. I was young, and he said, Brother Tommy, can I come in and talk to you? I said, oh, of course. He said, Brother Tommy, see that hill up yonder? We're on top of a mountain, probably 4,000 feet. He said, see that hill over yonder? He said, that's where I saw the devil. He said, now, Brother Tommy, I've seen him on several occasions. For 45 minutes to an hour, he talked to me. When he got done talking, he prayed for the service, prayed for me, and we left. He left. When he left, I got weak. I said, there's something wrong with me in my mind. I must be getting sick. I feel weak. I didn't know what this weakness was. I came back in the house and drank a little water. I didn't understand what this weakness was from being in the presence of him. That was on Friday night. I came home on Saturday. Sunday, Harley Hensley's baby boy, who'd been bound by alcohol, was so bound, he came that night. And when he came up to get prayed for, before that happened, I had a dream on Saturday night. And on Saturday night, I dreamed I was in an airport and I saw the most handsome, intellectual man you'd ever want to meet. I saw him in the airport walking. And he walked by me and he said, you don't know who I am? I said, I know exactly who you are. I said, you're the devil. I said, you're the devil. A voice spoke to me and said, what happened to you in Northern Virginia when Glenn Sturgill was in that room? You've got power over the devil. And I said, and I've got power over the devil. That intellectual, handsome man ran out of that airport like a screaming child. Then the Sunday night, Johnny comes up. And when he comes up, I never did see anything like this before. He looked like a mummy. And the Spirit of God said, take the bandages off of his head. He told me after the service, he said, I thought you were crazy. He said, I went up to get prayed for, and you're looking at me and taking your hand and going around my head. I thought you were nuts. I said, he's nuts. I need deliverance. I don't need anybody just spinning their hand around my head. He didn't see what I was taking off. Because God had given me a level of power over demonic powers. God had given me a level of anointing over demons. And I'd had one before, but this was a higher level. And I remember I went all around like that, and when I got to his mouth, the Spirit said, now take and pull it. And I went like, I'm just reaching in the air. And when I went like that, he gasped for breath. When he gasped for breath, the power of God came on him. He received a touch of heaven.